finally going to get around to replacing the spark plugs and ignition coils on my 2010 Porsche Cayman. So it's pretty straightforward as usual. Just have to remove a couple dust covers, heat shields, and then I'll have access to the spark plugs as well as the ignition coils. So here I've got my box of new ignition coils, as well as sparkle plugs. Alright, sparkle plugs, we're doing Bosch FGR 5NQ E04s, Beru ZSE 052s. It's just OEM stuff. Alright, so all you're really going to need for this job, you're specifically going to need a T25 Torx bit for removing the plastic panels. You're going to need a 10mm socket as well for removing those panels. You're going to need a Torx T30 for removing your ignition coils. And then you're going to need an E10 Reverse Torx socket for removing the heat shields that cover those ignition coils. Outside of that, along with just your standard ratchets, 3/8 and a 1/4 inch ratchet, and a variety of extensions, that should be basically all you need. So as you can see, the car is already up on jack stands. Don't need to remove the front wheels. I just got around to changing my winter tires out for my summer tires, so currently have the car on stands. Alright, so we're going to start on the passenger side. Got this plastic cover here. This plastic cover held on by two 10mm nuts on this panel. T25 Torx. T25 Torx screw down here, and another 10mm plastic screw. So we're just going to remove these. Now that's off, I could remove these covers. Alright, so got this heat shield right here. It's held on by two E10 Torx, reverse Torx bolts. So we have this one here, and then this one is back here. I think it's probably a little hard to see, but there's an O2 sensor right here. It's right here, kind of near the wire. It's back there. We'll remove those E10 bolts, and heat shield should come out. Heat shield can be removed now, somehow. So I think all right, yeah. Alright, that works. Just work around it. That gives me plenty of access. So here, now you can see the ignition coils. I'm just going to remove the wiring harness and then undo the Torx bolts on the ignition coils, and then that'll give me access to the spark plugs. So first off, I'm going to undo all the wiring harnesses. So it's just a standard harness, Ooh. Shit, can't see anything. But there's just a tab right here. Sorry if it's so dark. Tab right there, and you just press on that with your thumb and then lift up. Just be sort of pushing in on the clip and then pulling up. Of course, there's one. So each one is held on by a single Torx T30 screw or bolt. So we'll just undo that. And 3. So now these injectors should just pull right out. And There's one. Bloop. So now with all the, I keep saying injectors, ignition coils. So those are all out now. I have access to my spark plugs. I'm just going to use a 5/8 spark plug socket and a couple extensions, and I should be able to pop those out. Alright, so I got my 5/8 spark plug socket. Just gonna throw on some extensions and see what I can do. There you go. Okay, spark plug's on. That was on there pretty good. Alright, there we go, that's one. Okay, on to the next. Fuck me. This is awful. Looks like there's some oil on it. That's cool. Hey, there's my gasket. That should work. Good in between. So these are all cleared now. So I'm just going to put in the new plugs, get them hand tight, and then give them a 90-degree turn. They're going to go anywhere. Put the ignition coils back on, bolt them up, plug them in, put the heat shield back on, and that should be good. New plug, boy! Okay, these should be pre-gapped already, so don't really have to worry about gapping them, I think. So we're gonna put these guys on hand tight. And we'll get them hand tight. And then give them like a little 45-degree turn extra. Alright, so that's tight. Alright, I'm just gonna... Alright. That should be good. Alright, let's get that. It's good and tight. Alright, spark plugs are in, so now I just gotta put in the ignition coils, plug them in, and then put the heat shields back on. Alright, let's pop these dudes in. Alright, harnesses are back on. Just gonna secure the ignition coils and then should be able to button it up. And I'm just gonna get these guys hand tight. Alright, now to get them good and tight. Cool, that's that. Let's get this heat shield back on. These ones, we're just gonna get them hand tight. Wrong one. No need to really go ham on these. Time for the plastic shields. Ah, my knees. This dude back here. There we go. Alright. Get this guy on. Oh boy. Oh boy. Boom. Alright. That's the passenger side. Got that done. So now I just have to do the driver's side. Should basically be the same thing. Gonna pull off these panels. It's the same thing. T25 Torx. 10mm little plastic screw. Pull those off, give me access to the heat shields. Now I have to get those heat shields off. We got, looks like there's a bolt here now, and then bolt there, E10 Reverse Torx. So I'm gonna do like what I did on the last one, is just try to pull it over the lower heat shield, and hoping that I can set it down. There you go. Oh, access. Alright. Alright, so same thing, going to unplug the ignition coils, and then unbolt the ignition coils with a single T30 screw. Pull out the ignition coils, pull out the spark plug. Let's get it. Alright, so ignition coils again, just pop out, pull them straight out. Kinda gotta maneuver around this O2 sensor wire. Alright, there's one. Ignition coils out. Time for the spark plugs. It's a little tip here. So I'm trying to get this front spark plug out right here. I originally had my wrench sitting over here, right? So I'm like trying to, not a whole lot of room, you know, you're doing like one click at a time, it fucking sucks. Here, there's a lot of extra room. So if you orient your ratchet downwards, there's quite a bit more room there. And I think it's probably the same for the other side. I'd have to look at it again, but yeah, I think that's a little helpful tidbit. Definitely easier than having a wrench here. Success. I used a sort of combination of spark plug, 5/8 socket. What is this, like a 7-inch, 8-inch extension? Plus I used this little guy, an adapter for a 1/4-inch ratchet, and then my 3/8 ratchet. I think just orienting the ratchet in that little space between the cat and the other shit, I think that really helps. But yeah, so that's the removal. Now I just have to put the new plugs in. Insert that guy first. Get this guy in. Intact. Just gotta get these ignition coils on. Same thing. Ignition coils just pop right in. Harness side facing up. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and plug the wiring harnesses back in. Alright. Just gotta tighten these guys up. It's all good. Okay, it's nice and tight. Get this heat shield back on. That's good. Alright. That's it. Just get these plastic shields back on and that should be it. So I guess my camera cut out before I could totally finish putting on those panels, but that's it. It's a pretty straightforward job, but those frontmost spark plugs on both the driver's side and the passenger side are, you know, just not difficult, but just kind of a pain to get to since there's limited space and accessibility. So, you know, you're basically spinning your ratchet, you know, a couple clicks at a time. So like working with those frontmost spark plugs, it'd be really convenient if you had like one of those electric or battery powered ratchets, so you could fit it into a small space. And again, typically I usually torque everything to spec. If there's a torque specification for it, I'm 9 times out of 10 torquing it down. But in this case, and typically with spark plugs too, I usually don't worry about torquing them. I usually just get them hand tight and then give them, you know, maybe a quarter turn or something like that. They're not gonna go anywhere, and you know, if you do torque them, there's different torque values for, you know, if it's totally dry versus wet, like with some oil in there, or if specifically for the Caymans, if you're reusing your spark plugs, the torque value is different from a brand new spark plug. A brand new spark plug, the torque is 24 foot-pounds, versus reusing a spark plug, it's only 19. But yeah, I tend to just get my spark plugs good and tight. Like I said, just, you know, hand tight plus a quarter turn, something like that. It's not going anywhere. I've never had any issues with it. And it lessens the chance of you potentially breaking a spark plug. So that's it. Not too terrible of a job. Should only take a couple hours at most. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Deuces.